Hi, this is Tina Hamilton, and today I have Tim Dever here with me. Hi, Tim.
Tina.
I love Tim. He's one of my favorite EO members. How long have you been a member of EO?
23 years.
That's incredible.
Long time.
I bet you've seen a lot of change in 23 years.
Well, with EO, basically, well, it's gotten better over the years.
That's great.
It's transformed to a higher level than it was 23 years ago.
I bet. Yeah.
There's more interaction, I think, now than then. The events are better now. Back then, they were trying to find their way, and I would say 10 to 12 years 12 10 to 12 years ago they found their way. And because I also served on the global board, Philadelphia is looked upon in the EO circle as one of the premier chapters.
I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you were president of the EO Philly board.
So I'll tell you this story.
Okay.
So I think it was my 13th year of EO. You know, when you're involved in anything, especially an organization, you're in the organization. It's, what are they doing? They put on a good event. Everything was they. But who the hell are they?
Right. Oh, okay.
They are EO members, just like I was, that
Sure.
were playing a part, taking the leadership role, and getting involved within the chapter to make it better. And I always pushed it off. I don't know why, but I put for 13 years, and finally, I had gotten so much out of EO, and I said to myself, it's time to give back. So I thought to myself, all right, I'm going to join the board. I can't say they anymore, be me. And I joined the board. And do you remember Bob Simpson, who I think he just
Sure.
left?
Yeah.
I was his co-chair. He was on the events, booking all the events. So I was his co-chair. So I did that for a year, and a guy named Sean was the president at the time, and he was finishing up his term, and as well he was leaving EO for some work related reason.
Okay.
So he asked me, he said, "We have any interest in being president?" So in my second year, I became the president, and I kind of resisted that as well. I don't have time to do that, but I'm thinking, I should. I got on the board because I wanted to get back. I enjoyed the first year. It was actually about a year and a half. And then I decided, all right, I'm going to do it. And in giving back to EO, I received more than I ever thought I would. Matter of fact, joining the board, becoming president, and that led to going on the global board,
Right.
the greatest experience of my life.
They call that the path to leadership in EO.
Right. And I traveled the whole world. I went places I would have never gone in my life.
Right.
And the especially on the global end, the events that they have, and once you get there, whether it would be, I was in China with you.
Right. Yes.
Thailand was extraordinary.
Yeah.
My only regret was I was supposed to go to South Africa,
Oh, right.
and then 9/11 hit, and they canceled it.
Okay. Oh, back then. I know
Back
there
then,
was
yeah.
another South
Well,
Africa.
so it got
Yeah.
postponed to I
Okay.
think it was last year,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but 2020 it was April of. Maybe it was 2021. We were supposed to go. It was supposed to be South Africa,
Right. That was the one I think. Well,
and
we all
up to
missed.
3 weeks before, it was still on. They
Oh, is
told us to
that
book the
right?
flights.
Oh, no kidding.
No, I didn't book the flights, but they said book the flights where it's on. I said, "There's no way this is on,"
No.
and then it got canceled right
Yeah.
before. So that was my only sad part of it because I didn't get to see South Africa
Oh, well,
or to even be on the
still
continent.
time.
Yeah, but the travel and the events that they put on, spectacular.
And how did it influence your business? And you're in the restaurant business. You had multiple
Seven
seven.
restaurants and bars.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Started when you started EO? How many do you remember how many you had back then?
Well, when I started, I'll tell you what, started with EO. So I had 3 restaurant and bars at the time.
Okay.
And there were two members of EO who tried to convince me to join.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm not joining it. It sounded like a cult. So I had no interest.
It's a
And
common
then
thing.
finally they asked me to go to an event that they could bring outsiders.
Okay.
And it was Michael Gerber
Oh,
event,
the email.
E-Myth.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was the perfect time because I had three places. I was working on a fourth. I was doing nothing but working 7 days a week. My family life was suffering. My personal life was suffering. Everything was devoted to business.
Okay.
And, but I thought that's what you have to do to make it.
That's what you have to do.
And, in the restaurant business, when everyone else is playing, I'm working.
Right.
So I got used to that, and I just work. So they kept asking me to join. I'm like, nah, I have no interest. Then they took me to Michael Gerber. It was now at the Union Center or Union, what's it called?
League,
Union League.
Union League.
And he gave that whole speech: don't work in the business, work on the business. And I got a taste of the E-Myth thing, and I got the book, read the book, and then finally they join. You got to join. So just to shut these two guys up, I joined, and I really didn't want to. And it turned out to be the greatest decision post, not including family and that kind
Of
of thing,
course.
but business, the
Business
best
wise.
decision I ever made in my life.
And what now, fast forward, just for the sake of time, Tim recently sold, recently sold your last business,
Sold the last year.
the last of the
So I spent the
restaurants.
last couple years selling, and my last one, which was the Westchester unit, Wawa just bought me out.
It's incredible. Wawa. So how did EO, it's not so much how did EO, but what was in general, what was the biggest influence that brought you to your success? And I think a lot of people would look at it as major success. We're building a business to eventually sell, and here you are. You're sitting where so many entrepreneurs hope to be someday.
So what's
Do
the
you
way?
realize that? Like, and then what would you say are the things that led to your success? What was the problem that was solved, I guess, to, that ultimately led you to be successful?
Well, a little bit of a long story. You want me to tell you?
Yep. Yes.
All right. So growing up, I wasn't very good in school, and
That was a subject on our last call or two, but
really,
go ahead. Yes.
and I was sandwiched between two brothers
Okay.
that were geniuses.
Oh,
My older brother, who's a doctor, uh, went to St. Joe's Prep, straight 4.0 straight through. Went to St. Joe's University, 4.0 straight through.
wow.
Went to Georgetown Medical School,
Oof.
4.0 straight through.
Ooh.
My younger brother went to St. Joe's Prep, captain of his, or the president of his class. He didn't get straight 4.0s, but very well. Then he went to University of Delaware, became a successful financial analyst. And I'm in the middle. And I was just one of those kind of kids that if I was into it, I was good. If I wasn't
Got
into
it.
it, and I wasn't into school,
Yeah.
and I didn't care.
Yeah.
So consequently, I suffered in class. But I went to Malvern Prep, so it wasn't too bad. Then I went to Westchester University.
Okay.
When I got out, um, it was a competition thing. My two brothers never struggled through school. One became a doctor, the other, and it was the competition with the brothers.
Okay.
So my whole thing was, all right, they might be smarter in school than me, but they can't outwork me. So my whole thing was, I'm just going to outwork these two bastards.
And it literally was the fire underneath you.
Right, that was the fire, just to beat those two guys out. And that's why I got into that mode of just working at all costs, just to so. But
Were there any entrepreneurs in your family?
no,
Just curious. Okay. So you were first.
so then I got three places, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting on these guys now.
Three places is a lot.
But consequently, my family was suffering.
Oh,
I didn't have any time for myself.
gotcha. Right.
And then the story I told you, I got involved in EO, and then it woke me up. It was the light went on.
Wow.
I'm doing it wrong. All this working just to, you know, against my brothers was not the way to go.
Right.
And with the three tenets of EO of um, work, family, personal life, and the balance of the three.
Yes.
When I absorbed that, I realized I'm out of balance. Everything in my life is out of balance. And this organization put everything in balance. And when I balanced everything and spent more time, family, more on personal life, all three went through the roof.
Huh.
And
And the balance being your health, you're saying?
my health, because I was overweight, because I wasn't working out, I wasn't doing it. All I was
Right.
doing was work.
Just working.
My wife never saw me. My kids did. Well,
Right.
on the weekends they did a little bit, Sunday, but it wasn't a normal
You
family
weren't.
life because I was at work
You
all the
weren't. You were feeling totally out of balance.
time. Right.
Work being the most, not your health and your family. Okay.
So this put me on the right track, and I probably, if I didn't get introduced to EO, more than likely probably would have ended up in divorce, as most restaurateurs do.
Oh, right. It's like
Um,
common.
but it woke me up and put me on the right track. And then I realized I got to spend as much time on the other two as I do work.
Yes.
Then all three flourished. And then I'm 63 now. Then I got to a point where, all right, it's time to wind this down a little bit. So I systematically, by intentions, started selling. And the last one took a year and 4 months, which was longer than I expected.
Okay. Yeah.
But Wawa they had to get the zoning
That's right.
because they want to tear me down and put their Wawa. And they didn't, they got turned down. So but it finally came down to I had to give him at one point I had to give him another year. So I gave him a year. The year expired in the end of June of this year, and they said, "Listen, we need more time. Um, we're going to make it worthwhile for you to stick out another year." And I said, "No way. See, now or never. If not, I'll just continue doing."
You were mentally done.
I was mentally done, but I didn't want them to know that.
Right. Of course.
So I just said, "So all right, if you're not doing it, I don't want the deal. Go, just move on and forget about it."
Okay.
So then they thought, well, we have to buy them out then. They didn't want to, but I just actually said, I'm fine where I am. I'll just continue what I'm doing. Just go away. It's noise. And and they even made the deal better. And that wasn't my intention, but they made the deal better. And I said, all right, good. And
Sweet.
so June 30th was my last day. And it's been great since.
You're enjoying retirement.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
What when people ask like what if people ask like what it how do you define your success? What would you I know you said EO, but what exactly was it? The learning? Was it being around other entrepreneurs? What was it that helped you become so successful? And your drive. Obviously your drive. And by the way, did you beat your brothers?
um, well, let's put it this way. In definition of success,
Yeah.
at least equal.
Okay,
So
sweet.
I'm not going to
Okay.
say
All
I
right,
beat
all
them
right,
out, but or at least at parity. So
Okay.
um, but let's put it this way: I'm happy with the end result.
The end result is good.
Yes,
Here you are sitting here retired,
right, and they're working.
and there were
They're
maybe you
both
won.
working.
Maybe you won. I can say it.
But when I joined AO, maybe 2 years into it, that that aspect
Right.
dissipated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. That's what got you going.
That's what got me going.
Right.
That no longer played a part in it then.
So somebody's listening to you. They have maybe one restaurant or two. They want to grow. They want to like what? You're not like other restaurants, right? First of all, that the fail rate of restaurants is outrageous, right? Isn't it? Like
It's the highest failure rate of any industry.
any industry at all.
Any industry, the highest failure rate. And the average restaurant starts last 2 years and
2 years. Used to be
I
five
think
years.
75% fail within 2 years,
Wow.
and the 25% that makes it fails. I think 50% of those fail within 5 years. So it's not an easy industry to make it
Mm.
in. And I was fortunate; I had 7 places. I didn't fail not one of them.
So you had a formula for success.
Well, the problem with the reason the highest failure rate of any industry is successful people in other industries. When I say restaurant, primarily the bar business.
Oh,
There's
okay.
there's a there's a for some reason there's an odd um, wanting to get into the bar business.
Yeah.
So
Seems that
you
way.
have a successful, let's say, doctor or surgeon or attorney. Oh, I want to buy a bar, and they go out and buy a bar restaurant, and they're not running it, so consequently it fails.
Okay. Oh,
But running a bar restaurant, I mean, I don't wake up and say, "Hey, I want to do brain surgery today," and go to the hospital. And say, "Hey, I'm going to do brain surgery today." It's you got to know what you're doing. And, and a perfect example, a few years back, early in it was around 2002. My wife and I met another couple out in Chicago for the weekend. And Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player that ever lived, just opened up a big sports bar
oh, okay. Cool.
in in Chicago. So we said, all right, let's go to that. So we went out, we went to thing, and we took a cab to Michael Jordan's. And at 11:30 at night, there was a 2-hour wait to get a table
Holy mackerel. That's
at
incredible.
11:30 at night.
Wow.
So they have like a gift shop where you can buy his stuff. And so we did that and then we left. The next year, we met the same couple out there. We said, all right, let's go to Michael Jordan's early.
Right.
We won't go at late, and we'll get a table. So we got in a cab over at 5 o'clock in the early evening to Michael Jordan's. Closed. Here, 1 year before, there was a 2-hour wait to get in at 11:30 at night,
Holy
and
moly.
it's closed.
Whoa.
He's the greatest basketball player here, but he couldn't run a bar and restaurant.
No kidding. Okay. Wow.
So,
What a
but that's
yeah.
the reason you have a guy who knows nothing about that. Let me go buy a restaurant. It'd be like, oh, let me go join the NBA.
Because it's an easy thing to start, not an easy thing to be successful
Well, they
at.
think it's
Or people think it.
socially, it's, hey,
Right.
I own the bar.
Yeah, this is fun.
This is fun. It's not fun.
I never personally thought it would be fun,
No.
but I can understand why people would think that way. So your success was you being involved, you running it.
Well, I learned on a small place, got my bearings figured out, and
Okay.
I did have a guy who was a successful restaurant bar owner who mentored me, and he's close to 80. He's still doing it. He's
No
a very
kidding.
successful place.
Wow.
Um,
So having a mentor was a big
yeah,
impact.
so he kind of helped me along the way,
Okay.
but it's the problem is people will want to do it, but they don't want to put the time into it. They don't realize that they got to be there at 11 o'clock at night. Otherwise, everything's going out the back door.
Right.
So that's the problem. People they want to be involved, but they don't want to work it. And as well, the other problem with the industry, and it's why it's a high failure rate, is most of the workforce is unsophisticated people. Meaning, when I say unsophisticated, I mean, it's not the proper word, but young people, you know, bartenders, servers, they just want beer money for the weekend.
Inexperienced.
Inexperienced.
They're not necessarily
And if
for
they
a
wake
career.
up, right, if they wake up and they have a headache, then I'm not going to work. They don't go.
Because it's not
They
their
don't care.
career. It's not, they're not invested
Right.
fully. Because it's a job that it's like in between something.
Right. So the hard part is managing that aspect.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
Having
total
the
sense.
majority of your employees that don't really give a damn.
Right.
And it's your job to get them to give a damn.
And you were able to figure that out?
I could figure that out. It's hard to put young guys that don't really have a vested interest in the place. It's hard to build a team around them. But you got to figure that out. And once you figure that out, then you have them on your side.
Is there anything you can describe in what that is? That magic sauce.
Well, I'll share what a few have said to me.
Okay, perfect.
When we were closing in July, there was a young lady who went to Westchester University. Her and her roommate were working at the place, and I set it up where she could get a job at a place down the street.
Okay.
And she came in and was crying. And I said, "Well, why are you crying? I got you a job down the street."
Right, right.
And she says, "But no one cares like you care."
Uh,
So that kind of hit me.
yeah. She felt something from you.
Yes. She said, "You show that you care about us." Now, I don't I I don't do that intentionally, but maybe that's just my
Who you
disposition.
are. Right.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And typically over the years, the people we hired stayed, so we didn't have high turnover. And maybe that was part of the reason
They felt that
they
you
felt that I
invested
cared.
in them as a human being.
Right.
And maybe there wasn't anywhere else or whatever. They needed that. I think most people need that in their life or want that in their life to be seen,
Or other places,
felt.
maybe they just felt like a number.
Right. They want to be seen, the purpose.
I would intentionally, to all the staff, to talk to them, not just say hi and just keep going.
Sure.
Find out how school's going, how you doing, try to make fun. I try to have a relationship with them all.
Yeah,
And to most it worked. Some didn't give a damn.
sure. So it was going to be.
Um, but overall, it works. And they stay, they make money, and the important is if they're happy, the people who come in will see that they're happy and they'll be
100%.
happy.
And the le- the least amount of turnover is better for the business functionally,
Right,
right?
right.
Too. So if you get them to stay, which is no easy feat as you described, and I think as most people would imagine it, especially if they've ever dealt with hourly employees that aren't on some kind of a career track.
Right.
So your genuine nature, because you can't fake that, right? Like you people try to, but
Can't fake it.
you can't fake sincerity. That's the one thing you don't need an education to get, right? The people that work for you, they don't need, I'm not saying they aren't educated, but the people that, are, as you described, at a point in their, they haven't built a career yet, they're in between or what have you working for you.
Well, my general manager went to another place and she took with her 5 or 6 of the employees, which was good.
Right.
It made me feel good
Oh,
because
when
I
you
knew
were shutting down.
after I shut down,
Yeah.
my general manager and about 5 others went to another place. So my wife and I went there just recently for dinner, and they all came up and they said, "Listen, we enjoy it here, but it's not Timothy's," which made me feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
So there was something whether it's talking or trying to make them feel special,
Yeah.
there was some kind of connection.
Well, and that's probably going to be your legacy because I've only known you through EO. I never heard this story before. And you've always made me feel when I'm talking to you that you're looking at me, you're focused on me, that you're engaged, and people feel that.
Well, I remember we were in China, and it was prior to I think an event, but you and I had a long conversation. You told me about things going on in your life, and then we all as a group went out from there. But that was my first connection with you
That's right. Yeah.
in China. Was
Wow.
that
Good
was that
memory.
was that it was like at the bar area, and then we were all going somewhere.
Oh, okay.
And you told me your whole story, and you had just joined the board, I think, at that time.
That's right. Because that was my first GLC,
Right,
which is our global learning
right.
event.
So that was my first experience with Tina Hamilton.
Well, I'm grateful for that experience because you told me a lot about the global board, and I think that influenced me. I joined the board early and got involved, and I think people join EO and get involved right away or soon, when they're ready, when it's right for them. It just, you said it. It makes a difference in all the
It does.
world. It really does. Griff, I've said this before, and I interviewed him on here. When he interviewed me, he was the person that interviewed me to join. He said something magical happens in EO, but you have to get in and get involved in.
Right.
And it really does. When you look back, it does kind of feel magical because look, they turned you, restaurant guy competing against his
Yeah.
brothers, into somebody caring about, a bigger reason for being in the business, right?
Right.
It feels like it influenced you in such a good way.
Really did. Um, as I mentioned in the very beginning, it was the best move I ever made.
Right.
And I was concerned. Here's the weird part. So you work years in the business to build the business, and then if you're fortunate, you sell
Right.
it. And one of my concerns, which is weird, of selling it, I'm like, if I sell this, I might not be able to stick in NEO
Oh, right.
because I'm thinking to
Right.
myself, I'm not gonna have a business, and I won't be, I'll be not
An
eligible.
outsider, right?
So so right before, I think it was May or June, there was an event down at the Reading Terminal Market,
Oh, yeah, that
and
was a
I
great
got a
event.
hold of Katie. I said, Katie, I'm selling it. Does that mean I have to jump off the boat? She said, no, you're a tenured member. You've been here longer than you've been here over 20 years. I said, yeah. She goes, yeah, you're in. You don't have to work anymore. You can. You're. I get. There's a tenured rule, I guess, globally, that if you're in X amount of years,
I
you're
think
in.
that's new too. I think
I
they
think it
just,
is. Yeah.
right, in the last
Yeah.
year or two. So that worked out great for
So that
you.
worked out great because I years ago, I remember guys who were in my position now, but years ago they had to leave.
Yeah, and that was it.
Yeah.
No. And I know we have to finish up. So, but I think that now, like, you can offer so much. I mean, you said to me when I started this tenured member group, I'm available, whatever you need. She shouldn't have said because that will never leave my mind, Tim.
well, well, as you know, Tina, anything you ask, I will do. I will help. If I can help in any way, I will
Yeah,
help you. And where I am in life now, I spent three daughters. Uh, my wife and I have spent the last, let's say, 23 years nurturing them to be on their own,
sure.
put them through school. Now all three are out. They're out on their own now. And to me, that chapter's over. The business just winded that down.
Yeah.
So now it's those chapters are closed. Now it's an open-ended book. Now
Right.
the new chapter of my book is how am I going to be significant to others?
I
So
love that.
that's what I'm going to do now. Is now that the kids are gone, what can I do now to serve others?
Yeah. And you have so much to offer people.
And then Tom and I figured, all right, I'm just going to see where the universe takes me here. I'm just going to let go with the flow of the universe.
Right.
Tom B. Miller, who's heading the accelerator program,
Okay.
he just asked me if I would coach. So now I'm in my second month of coaching
Oh, I love that for
accelerators,
you.
and then the flow came, and then EOS. Have you ever heard of EOS?
I'm on EOS. Yeah. So it's
Uh,
entrepreneur operating system we were talking about in the last show.
all right,
A
I
little bit.
just got to accept that I'm going to be an
Oh,
implementer. So I'm
wonderful.
going to their boot camp um, next month, early November. So I got
A whole new world
whole
going.
new book going.
So I love that. I mean, and what a better way to begin this chapter than to be of service to other people. It'll feel good for you. It's not something you have to wake up every day at a certain time. You're free to live your life
Well,
and
that's what I got.
create
So
it around your
I
life.
said to myself, all right, I'm just going to say, I want to be of service to others
Right.
and
Yeah.
make a living in doing it. I'm just going to see where the universe takes me.
I love
And so
it.
I had the antennas up, and then EOS started coming into
That makes
play,
so much sense.
and it was like it just flowed to me,
Yeah.
and so I'm doing it.
That's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more about your chapter, and maybe we'll have you back in a year or
All right.
whatever and see what you've been doing. And and what advice you can give to people that are at that stage in their business
That's
or their
great.
life. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tim. It's been really a
Well,
pleasure
thank you, Tina, for
learning
having
more
me.
about you.